Finding Langston by Lesa Cline-Ransome, Chapter 2, read aloud by Mrs. Ambrose. I like being the first in the classroom each morning so I can walk through the schoolyard and hallways before most everyone arrives and before the trouble starts. Means I gotta get up early with Daddy, ahead of the rest of the tenants, to get into the bathroom before all the hot water's used up. If I'm slow getting up, I gotta wait in line. Folks complain every morning about how many gotta share it and people taking too long to do their business and how some folks got nasty habits. But for me and Daddy, it's our first time with an indoor toilet and a sink with water running through my fingers like a river. I don't miss toting water from the well in a bucket for Mama to cook or clean with or washing up from a basin in the corner of the room. Saturday nights was the only time we had hot water, in a tin tub filled to the brim with the water Mama heated for my bath. Never had a toilet to flush in the outhouse. When I first came to Chicago, I pretended to have to go to the bathroom just to flush the toilet and watch the water spin in circles down a little hole. Daddy found out and fussed nearly all day about being wasteful. A sin, he said. Been here 2 months now, but still can't get enough of that water. One spout for hot, one for cold. I make a cup with my hands and move them side to side to make the water just the right amount of both to wash up. I get to school earlier than nearly everyone else in my class and sit at the front nearest to my teacher, Miss Robbins, where I can pretend I don't hear the laughing and talking in the back of me. Mrs. Robbins acts like she doesn't hear it either, 'cause she sure doesn't stop it. My schoolmates come in one by one. "Hey, country boy," someone says as they pass my desk. Country boy's been my name since I came to Chicago. The name everyone in class says when they point at my run-over shoes and laugh at the overalls I still wear and the way I speak. Sometimes Mrs. Robbins will ask me to repeat my words, and that's when the whispers and laughs behind start up. Even when I know the answer to questions, I don't raise my hand. I'm still waiting on Daddy to buy me pants and a belt and shoes that ain't worn through the soles so I can look like the boys here in the North. The day stretches longer than an Alabama road, and I do my best to pay attention. But I'm really just waiting for the bell to ring. "Need any help today, Miss Robbins?" I ask on my way out of the classroom. "Not today, hon," she says, turning off the lights to go home. I take my time walking down the stairs, running my hands along the cinder block walls and stopping to tie my shoes. I duck into the bathroom to wash my hands even though there ain't a speck of dirt on them. Finally, I open the door that leads out onto the schoolyard. It's empty, quiet. I'm safe. The door closes behind me with a click. But before I get 3 steps into the yard, I see them. All 3 of them, standing with their backs against the wall, waiting for me. Lyman's the leader. Not quite as tall as me, but thin as a rail. Got one eye a little smaller than the other, but not too small to see me from a mile away. I ignore him. "Keep to yourself," Daddy always says, "and you'll stay out of trouble." First shove hits me square in the back. "You ignore me?" Errol and Clem start laughing. They're not as mean as Lyman, but they're trying. Lyman does the talking. They do the laughing, kind of like a preacher preaching the gospel and the congregation shouting amen. I heard Lyman once bothered a boy so bad, he left Haynes and started in a school cross town. No chance Daddy moving me to another school, 'cause, of course, he never seen Lyman. Errol and Clem working me over from the time I get to school till the time I go home. I ain't sure, but I'm willing to bet their families came from the South, just like mine, but bet their mamas and daddies' words tumbled out slow and lazy, just like mine. Bet they worked fields with a plow and a mule, just like mine. Outside school, I've seen some of the kids from my school walking with their families, and something about the way they talk and laugh a little too loud tells me they ain't been here as long as they like folks at school to believe. Some folks forget where they came from soon as they step off the train at Union Station. We left Alabama in the hottest month of the year, months after the sweet-smelling magnolia buds appeared on the trees, and right after we buried Mama. At her funeral, I stood at Mama's grave, holding Grandma's hand, and we sang, "His eyes on the sparrow," and "Precious Lord, take my hand," and all her favorite hymns right along with the choir who came from church, sang loud enough so no one would notice Daddy's lips weren't moving. Back at the house, folks from church piled my plate with potato salad and fried chicken and told me, "Sit down, baby, and eat." But for the first time ever, I couldn't make myself swallow a bite. I sat in the corner, watching people filling up the rooms where Mama used to. Everywhere I looked, I saw her sewing or soaking her feet or laughing with Daddy or fixing me breakfast. After everyone went on home and all the food was put away, Mama stayed with me in that house. I guess that's why barely 1 week later, Daddy made me wear my itchy, hot Sunday clothes to the train depot. Sweat ran down my back till it tickled. Me and Daddy squeezed into the last seats near the engine. So many people, some folks had to stand. In the colored section, we could smell the smoke and the air was thick. The white car was at the end of the train, folks said, with plenty of seats and air clean and fresh. A curtain separated the color car from the white, and only the porters and the conductor could pass through. I can't think about all that now, not with Lyman on my heels. I walk faster. Back home, I had friends. Not a lot, but enough to make me feel like I fit. At lunch outside, we'd played marbles together, sometimes climbed the tree in the back of the school. No one laughed when I talked or pointed at my run-over shoes and overalls. Jimmy had a mama who drank. He sometimes came to school with no lunch pail, and I'd share what I had. Roland didn't have a daddy, but we didn't talk about those things, just about trading marbles and stuff I barely remember now. Lyman steps in front of me, stopping me short. "We're talking to you, and you ain't answering." I hear the laughing in back of me. "What'd you say?" I ask, and then it starts. The Amen choir repeats, "What'd you say?" in a drawl that sounds nothing like me. I take a step back and land on Errol's toes. He shoves me into Lyman. Clem stands off to the side watching with wide eyes. I try to go around, first one side, then the other. Finally, I wait while Lyman and Errol push and shove me back and forth. If I'm quiet, they'll get tired and move on. I feel a slap on the back of my neck, and they start to move away down the block. Clem's wide eyes look back at me, staring. Not nice, but not mean either. I pick up my satchel that dropped, pull down my shirt, and head home to wait alone for Daddy.